Now, I've read that report, as I'm sure others have, and nowhere in that report, nowhere, does it mention £22 billion.
When the Labour Chief Secretary of the Treasury, Liam Byrne, wrote that there was no money left, he was telling the truth. But in what has been dubbed the biggest lie in British politics, Rachel Reeves, the artful dodger of 11 Downing Street, takes us for fools in an effort to pick your pocket.
We've inherited a projected overspend of £22 billion. A £22 billion hole in the public finances now.
Yeah.
Not in the future, but now. £22 billion of spending this year that was covered up.
The Labour Party is now in government, which means it chooses the balance between taxation and spending, and it chooses where spending falls. So it's decided to take £1.5 billion off pensioners to give it to its chums in the public sector. From Tory voters to Labour voters, what a surprise. It's taken the decision to spend £8 billion on GB Energy, the green energy company, which it once claimed would save you an extra £300 on your energy bills. Both the Prime Minister and the Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, have now forgotten about this saving because it was probably never there. The trick, the legerdemain, the dishonesty is in pretending that this is not a conscious choice, but force majeure, inventing a £22 billion black hole and blaming the Tories while spending £8 billion on green energy that won't cut your bills and £11 billion on overseas climate aid is simply dishonest.
Whenever Starmer and the Labour government are challenged, the first thing they cite is that the previous administration left a £22 billion deficit. Whether it's the mishandling of demonstrations or the arrest of peaceful online commentators, Starmer repeatedly throws in the £22 billion crisis to defend his actions. Until recently, most people accepted that. Yet, an MP has uncovered this financial scandal, forcing Starmer and Labour MPs to lower their heads. But what exactly was revealed? And what's the truth behind the £22 billion shortfall that Starmer used to impose higher taxes, harsh cutbacks, and remove services like winter fuel payments? In this video, we'll uncover how Starmer relied on falsehoods and deception and expose the £22 billion deficit. Let's begin. The claim of a £22 billion hole in Britain's public finances under Labour has become one of the most disputed stories in recent political history. Regularly used to excuse austerity policies, tax rises, and reduced spending, this figure has remained at the center of fierce arguments over the condition of the economy under Labour's rule.
Now, I've read that report, as I'm sure others have, and nowhere in that report, nowhere, does it mention £22 billion. It's not there at all. In fact, the only reference they have to a number is to be found on page 2 and in table 1, and even the Treasury, straining every sinew, could only find numbers that added up to 9.5, and even there, the OBR says, and I quote, "It is not possible to judge how much of that might actually have been realised." So when the Chancellor said there is a £22 billion black hole, the OBR report yesterday now proves that was simply untrue. So will she come here and apologise for providing that number to the House when the OBR report now shows it simply wasn't true? And certainly doesn't justify £40 billion worth of tax rises, the largest tax rises in any budget in history.
Yet, a deeper review of the matter shows major inconsistencies. The Office for Budget Responsibility, the authority tasked with preparing economic forecasts for the government, rejected the claim of a £22 billion figure in its assessments. Instead, it pointed to a gap of £9.5 billion earlier in the year, linked to incomplete Treasury disclosures. Even this smaller deficit was presented as a worst-case outlook, with the OBR clearly stating it was impossible to know how much of it would actually occur. That was when a Labour MP, Chris Philip, left Starmer and his Chancellor humiliated, demanding they issue an apology.
It means, Mr. Speaker, that we have inherited a projected overspend of £22 billion. A £22 billion hole in the public finances now.
Yeah.
Not in the future, but now. £22 billion of spending this year that was covered up by the...
However, after 14 miserable years of the worst Tory government in modern times, the best this Prime Minister can offer the British people is things can only get worse. Well, for him and his calamitous opinion ratings, that's probably true. But why does he think he has such an unprecedented fall in his popularity? Is it his attacks on the pensioners? Is it leaving children in poverty? Is it the re-emergence of Labour cronyism? Or is it because his austerity is even worse than the Conservative variety?
I remember when they used to sit here. It's a long way up and there's very few of them, so I don't think we need lectures on popularity.
Before moving ahead, let us know. Are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exclusive coverage on the dramatic shifts shaping British politics. Let's continue. Labour officials later tried to defend the £22 billion figure by combining multiple unrelated financial pressures. These included £7 billion in new spending demands identified before the March budget, £5.6 billion in overspending on public sector pay rises, along with other expenses such as asylum support and rail project overruns. Over this, MPs directly challenged Starmer.
They are laughing the same way they all laughed during the budget when they talked about raising NI. They have no idea what people out there are dealing with. And that is why yesterday we voted against his damaging jobs tax. Even former supporters, Chef Tom Kerridge, who endorsed Labour at the election, said that the budget was catastrophic. He built a real business employing young people, unlike his cabinet of trade union stooges, CV embellishers, and an actual fraudster. None of them have ever run a business. Why, when he listened to business, who are saying his budget is catastrophic?
Still, critics, including former Conservative Chancellor Jeremy Hunt, accused Labour of inflating the numbers for political gain. Hunt even dismissed the claim as nonsense, stressing that no independent economist endorsed the 22 billion figure. Yet, Labour continued pushing the narrative of a 22 billion black hole, making it central to their messaging and using it to deflect criticism for unpopular financial measures. By presenting the shortfall as an unavoidable emergency, Labour defended major tax increases and spending reductions that hit middle and lower-income families the hardest. Public frustration over scrapped winter fuel payments and heavier financial strain was redirected toward the alleged economic failures of past Conservative governments.
We can't just tax our way out of the problems that they left us, which is why we put in place tough. They were howling at the spending decisions. They wouldn't take them, and we'll stick to those spending decisions, and our focus is absolutely on growth. But their record, they flatlined the economy. They flatlined the economy, a mini-budget that crashed the economy, worst cost of living crisis in living history, and they left a £22 billion black hole.
This strategy might have seemed politically clever, but in reality, it was self-destructive. Critics contend that Labour deliberately overstated the scale of the issue to reinforce its storyline of inherited turmoil. In doing so, they risked damaging their credibility, not only with rivals, but also with the wider public. The Treasury's involvement in sustaining the $22 billion claim has faced sharp examination. As the body tasked with overseeing the nation's finances, the Treasury is expected to maintain the highest standards of accuracy and openness. Yet, internal papers indicate that senior Treasury figures were aware of flaws in the $22 billion narrative, but chose to advance it nonetheless.
Why is the government obsessed with clawing money back from all of us? I mean, they win with a massive majority, whatever, and they have this huge gain in seats and whatever. So why did they then want to make themselves incredibly unpopular straight away with elderly pensioners taking away the winter fuel allowance, with, going in with taxing national insurance and taxes? The state of this country with taxes is untrue. I mean, what is value-added tax?
I know.
What is my value-added? Do I have value-added tax on my spectacles, for instance? I don't know. Or if you were to buy tumblers like this, is there value-added tax on them? No idea. Why do some things have value-added tax and some don't? Ticked along quite nicely, owing money in the past. Most countries around the world owe money. Why this obsession with doing all the bad things and the hard things first?
For ordinary people, the $22 billion black hole has turned into a symbol of political deceit. Households battling rising expenses, pensioners losing vital benefits, and businesses weighed down by heavier taxes all feel let down by a government that pledged fairness and openness. Surveys carried out after the scandal show a clear decline in trust toward Labour's handling of the economy, with many now doubting whether the harsh measures forced on them were ever truly justified.
I wouldn't use the word fled, but I've left purely because of Labour's taxes and the increases they're going to bring out in the future, inheritance tax, capital gains, raise the tax rate. And, you know, they're penalising the wrong people. So it's the entrepreneurs, the risk takers, the business people that create wealth, that create jobs, that, you know, put more into the economy, but they're driving them out. And if they do this leaving tax, there's no way possible will people ever return. More millionaires are going to leave the UK than any other country in the next few years. And already 10,000 are going to be leaving this year. So the Labour needs to relook at it and come up with another idea to raise money rather than penalising wealthy or successful people. They despise wealthy people, as you know. They're socialists, and they need to just change their plan or they're going to bankrupt the UK very quickly.
This collapse of trust is devastating for Labour's future, even if Starmer refuses to admit it. Though the party still holds power, unrest is rising within, with backbench MPs demanding a rethink of its economic direction. Opposition groups, on the other hand, have capitalized on the scandal to brand Labour as deceitful and inept. And that criticism holds weight. It's difficult to grasp why Starmer imposed heavy taxes and cut winter fuel payments for pensioners when there was no real need. The $22 billion black hole never existed, yet the public was forced to bear the burden of harsh fiscal measures. Now, as a consequence, many are leaving the UK, especially millionaires.
Government borrowing costs are at a 27-year high. Growth has been killed stone dead. Inflation is rising, impacting millions. Interest rates are staying higher for longer, and business confidence has fallen through the floor. The party opposite talked down the economy. They crippled businesses with colossal taxes, breaking all their promises. This is a crisis made in Downing Street. And, Mr. Speaker, it should hardly surprise the Chancellor that international markets are uneasy. The UK's long-term borrowing costs have risen to their highest in almost 30 years. But while the government was losing control of the economy, Mr. Speaker, where was the...
On top of that, Britain's economy is weakening, with inflation climbing. And the only line the Labour Party repeats is this: they inherited a $22 billion black hole. It seems Starmer has forgotten he is the Prime Minister, responsible for stabilizing the economy and delivering growth, not blaming others as though he were still in opposition. One MP delivered a blunt reality check to Starmer and the Labour Party on this. No. What do you think? What other false claims might Starmer and the Labour Party have used to defend their actions? Isn't it clear that after the 22 billion myth was exposed, Starmer has lost credibility as Prime Minister? Share your views in the comments below on why Starmer is imposing heavy taxes when no 22 billion financial gap exists in the budget. Want to see more content like this? If yes, please like and share, and subscribe to get the latest updates on British politics and the shifts shaping it. Until the next video, stay connected.